Hi everyone. So, it's just me, no Kevin today. In fact, I think he's going to be rather relieved that he's not here and that I'm the one that has to do this. So, this is my first solo vid that I'm doing, and this video was given to me by a friend to watch. She claimed it to be very insightful. Now, after seeing the link, I'm going to say that this is going to be a rather grueling experience for me. So let's just start by showing you what I get to watch for over 3 hours. Oh, God, why did it have to be Steven Crowder? Oh, with Tim Pool. Oh, so I get both of them. So I just want to come off the bat and say, I find Steven Crowder to be a prophetically stupid person. So I'm only doing this because my friend requested that I watch this. I have not seen it. I have no idea what to expect. It will cover the protests that have been happening for the past 2 weeks. I don't really think fondly of Steven Crowder. He's a dumb person. And his entire platform is not about challenging ideas, but reassuring people of their preconceived notions. I mean, this is a man that's entirely funded by big business, dark money, the Koch brothers, just to name a few. I mean, this is why his platform's so large. And that's just conservative media in general. Tim Pool, I find to be a grifter. So having them both together, he's a guest, so I don't know how much he's going to be in this video, but having them both together is going to be a test of my patience and my endurance. So I'm going to be drinking during this stream because I don't know what's in store for me. And I want to be able to watch this. I want to, for the sake of impartiality, I'm going to watch this. And regardless of what I think about Steven Crowder and Tim Pool, I'm going to let these ideas flow and I'm going to look at them at face value. Never mind the fact of who's telling them. So let's start. Let's turn it down a little bit. Okay. So when does it actually start? 5. Oh, look. 10 minutes in. Oh, wait, here we go.
Protests continue across the country this evening, and we want you to know, of course, that though there are some individual protesters who are agitated, it is not the norm. These protests are largely peaceful. Many people look back at the demonstrations at Selma and wonder, what would I have done? Would I have marched across that bridge? Or would I be standing on the other side? Well, I have an answer for you. And my answer is a question. What are you doing now?
Oh, fuck. All right, we're already off to a great start.
Now, Tanya, how would you describe the attitude on the ground there? We go now live to our woman in the field, Tanya Franks. Tanya?
Well, Chris, first I want to say that was inspiring. Not many today have the courage to say what you just did. Your wife is a lucky woman.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, Tanya. And might I say you look positively dishy this evening.
Well, as far as the attitude on the ground, you know, folks are entirely peaceful, but far from happy. Just imagine if every day when...
Okay, I get it. They don't like that there's looting going on, when reality this is not an uncommon thing. Like this isn't just prevalent in today's protests. It's been, you know, throughout American history. I mean, going back to the civil rights era, even. It's just going back to Selma. You talk about the Selma March. People tend to forget there was a violent crackdown by the police. Fuck. Okay, here we go.
When you left home, you didn't know whether you'd be coming back.
Black power!
You might be a little upset too.
Well,
Okay, that was kind of funny.
in my line of work, that's always a possibility, but I know that many in the audience might not understand what that's like. No, Tanya, was that a man on fire?
Hard to tell with the flames, Chris. Might have been a really muscular lady.
So, Tanya, what are the people on the ground saying there?
Yeah, we gonna burn this motherfucker down. 313, bitch.
That's right, CVS is open for business, y'all.
Steven Crowder could get other people to do this bit for him. He has to be himself.
Take what you need, motherfucker.
A fitting tribute to the memory of George Floyd.
Is he also trying to portray a black person? I really hope not.
Chris?
Yo, who that?
Yo, that's a motherfucker with a grill.
Charged evening, to be certain. Now, some people are asking, why is this happening now? Haven't things gotten better? But there are still persistent and pervasive inequities in this country, and these protests are a reaction to that. And aside from a string of isolated incidents.
I actually gotta, okay, hang on. Can I because if this is gonna be fucking 3 hours of satire of false narrative, I won't be able to do this. So is there any way that I can speed this up? Okay, I can do playback speed. How about, let's see what it sounds like at 1.25. That way we can get through this faster.
Very small. Things have been pretty peaceful, very tame. Any
All
final
right,
thoughts?
I can do this.
Oh, hello, sir. What's your name? I'm sorry, that was unfair. Allow me to reframe the question, good sir. Where, might I ask, is Tanya?
Oh, she dead? Oh. Yo!
You know, I find it funny that he's satirizing the reporters being attacked by rioters when reality, the press has been more victim to police brutality and suppression. So this is just ironic.
I got an Apple Watch, dog! Yeah!
The language of the unheard. We'll be right back.
I just want to clarify something about the Mug Club, which is really funny about Steven Crowder's show. So if you subscribe annually, you get that little discount, that's $69. Haha, I see what you did there. You get a nice complimentary mug that he has. I don't know if you guys seen Steven Crowder's mug. So basically, this is the most expensive drinking utensil that you can get. $99, you get a mug to show how much of a big fan you are for Steven Crowder. That is astonishing. So all you mug club people out there, I don't have a mug, but yeah, cheers. And I just want to clarify that, yes, Steven Crowder does want to be a comedian. He wants to be funny. I get it. So he prides himself at being a comedian first and a political commentator second. So you really do have to take a lot of things what he says with a grain of salt and not as seriously as you would like. Or as he would like, because again, he's trying to present himself as funny than actually displaying a correct and accurate message of today's politics. So I got to get that off my chest right now. I also got to get that off my chest for myself because I got to take a step back and not get so upset about his political commentary because I have to remember he's not really taking this seriously. So
It's June, which marks louder with Crowder's 5th annual Cultural Appropriation Month, where we take you across the globe to learn about and appreciate all the cultures this world has to offer. This week, we take you to a culture known best for its ancestors' penchant for raping and pillaging, or as they called it, peaceful protest. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Norway!
And we are here. We are with you. I lost my helmet.
I knocked it off
Like
2
seconds
seconds
before. Do you mind going to get my helmet?
I'll get your helmet, but I have tights on. It's a little.
Ooh, look
Oh,
at that.
my
Look at that.
Hey, not
So
necessarily.
there's a social safety net I can get on board with. All right. Thank you very much. Today we're going to have Tim Pool on the program.
That's right.
And a very exciting announcement with Tim Pool. He's not a firearm owner, but we're going to change that after tonight. What's the hashtag tonight?
Hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream.
Crowder Riot Stream. So we did this last Saturday, and we had close to 50,000 of you guys watching. And let me be really clear. What I think is important about this is we are going to be watching CNN live and fact-checking it. We have Red the Bandit, of course, here on standby.
Yeah.
So this way you can...
I have my own views about CNN, so I don't know if I'm going to have much to say about their critique of CNN. That's just me, but we'll see what the critiques are first.
watch CNN right with us, and you can go, huh?
I gotta speed this up. Is there okay? Let's just see what it sounds like on 1.5. Let's just see what it sounds like.
And then we'll bring up what's actually happening. And go,
Hang on. I'm sorry, I just gotta listen to that again.
Look at that.
Hey, not necessarily.
There's a social safety net I can get on board with. All right. Thank you very much. Today we're going to have Tim Pool on the program.
That's right.
And a very exciting announcement with Tim Pool. He's not a firearm owner, but we're going to change that after tonight. What's the hashtag tonight?
Hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream.
Crowder Riot Stream. So we did this last Saturday, and we had close to 50,000 of you guys watching. And let me be really clear. What I think is important about this is we are going to be watching CNN live and fact-checking it. We have Red the Bandit, of course, here on standby. So this way you can watch CNN right with us, and you can go, huh? And then we'll bring up what's actually happening and go, that's the whole purpose to this. Is that the coverage, and I will say this, I actually was depressed this week. Really? I know. What else is new? It was a new form of...
So this is just going to be a critique of them covering these protests. And yeah, I'm going to refrain from saying riots because they don't start as riots. So their pushback to CNN is going to be because they're upset that it's not framing their narrative. And my pushback's going to be, cry me a fucking river, Crowder. Like, fucking speak the truth for once.
I was more depressed because I felt like we didn't make a dent. I mean, we had a million people who watched, who tuned in, and then I just thought, well, maybe the coverage...
Sorry about that, guys. I was having technical difficulties with my computer. So if it cut out, I'm sorry.
Some people like us, not just ourselves, will keep the media accountable and they'll be acknowledging the violence. It's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. Where they've been talking about peaceful protests in general. By the way, we do have a promo code. It's promo code Viking. You get $20 off, I believe.
$20 off.
And before we move on, what?
Vikings, man.
Oh, I thought you were
hardcore about Vikings, man.
Hardcore about
So
Vikings.
excited.
Lot of rape.
They're all very hardcore about Vikings.
That's 1-8 Viking
true.
as well.
It's their raison d'etre. If Joe Biden were a Viking, he would be a lone wolf because they'd be like, why are you sniffing?
What is just immediately go on?
Why don't you immediately rape? Well, I don't want the backlash, and why do you care what women say? And I don't know why they sound like Nantuk from the First Nations people.
Sounds about right.
As Cultural Appropriation Month, by the way, send us your tweets. Let us know. You can tweet me at @Crowder, and we will pick your month.
Steven Crowder really has a problem with culture that isn't white being exemplified in society because he feels like white culture is obviously not appreciated enough because he doesn't know that white privilege is a thing. So this is why he's dressing up like a Norseman. Just really funny.
Sorry, your country next week throughout the month.
To appropriate.
To appropriate is to appreciate. It's
important,
And you can also
Remember
send
that.
in your costumes. I think we should have let people know we were doing Norway so they could have dressed.
I mean, Steven Crowder can dress up as Viking as all he wants. Like, I really don't care. Like, this is fine. It's just the fact that they want to act like babies because they feel like white culture isn't exemplified enough in this country is just absolutely astonishing.
Stuff. But I tell you what, if there's someone out there who has the time, we will be streaming for potentially 3 to 5 hours. Send in your costume, and we will give
3 to 5 hours. Oh God, I can't do this. I can't do this.
away something. Big bag of Black Rifle coffee.
I mean, if you've got a Viking outfit just laying around.
Hit with some fast facts
I do.
there.
We actually have
audio
a stinger for Viking facts.
Oh, Viking facts. Let's see what the Viking facts are.
Facts. Norway facts.
Ooh. Well, I thought there's substantially more to this program than just the Viking
I forgot that it was Norway facts. But yeah, so Norway is home of the world's longest...
Yeah, I was going to say, just because you're Viking doesn't mean you're Norwegian. Like, Viking was a encompassing term of just people from Scandinavia. So, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, whole area, even Iceland, you'd be even considering that. The Nordic countries.
road tunnel, the Nobel Peace Prize, and 5.3 million impossibly good-looking people.
Wait, hold on, the world's longest road tunnel?
Road tunnel, yeah.
Finally, Harriet Tubman had to pay, eh?
Wow.
Wow, couldn't slip by that one, could you?
I'll say. And there's a small village in Norway named Hell, which is home to over 1,500 fornicators, adulterers, sodomites, thieves, and drunkards.
Also known as strongmen.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. And then skiing was invented in Norway. Skiing was invented in Norway by Gregory.
I didn't know that.
Skiing.
They said scheming.
Yeah, that's racist. The skiing was invented in Norway by Gregory Burov, which was an expansion on his first invention, long-ass shoes.
Long-ass shoes.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was intentional or not.
Good for him. Good for him. You know, it really is a shame to see what's happened to a once industrious people.
That's true.
By the way, we have a drinking game. Let's bring a drinking game.
A once industrious people, didn't he just make fun of them for being rapists and pillagers? So does he mean that he wants them to go back to that time? I just want to say that Norway is probably still one of the more vibrant economies in Europe too. What is he getting at? I'm sure he's just being satirical again, but
Rules tonight. Anytime they mention the word peaceful protest or imply that people are...
Oh, this is a drinking game? I'm already on top of you. I should probably make my own drinking game. Whenever Steven Crowder says something incredibly stupid, but I don't think I have enough bottles for that, so never mind. We'll just go by his rules.
People, you drink. Anytime they imply that Trump is a racist or that America is racist or that there's systemic racism, you drink. And we highly recommend that you do not drink hard liquor.
No, unless you're...
How hard is this scotch? 45%.
Take it easy, okay? Because you've been doing it for a while.
No, Brodigan can't handle it.
Oh, you can't?
No, but it's funny.
No, yeah.
That's okay.
Let me be really clear as we talk about peaceful protests, and I just need to get this out there so that then I don't have to use any papers. We have at least 12 deaths thus far.
Why is it that the Crowder cast looks like just a bunch of fucking idiot jocks? Like, I don't...
Far from the protests. At least 12. Over 370 officers.
I'm sorry if I'm being a little spiteful here. Like, I apologize, but I can't wait till we get to the actual political critiques. I just can't wait for it.
Been severely injured. Over 10,000 arrests. Over $25 million in property damage in Minneapolis alone.
Steven Crowder cares more about property than fucking human lives.
So that's over 12 deaths. Nearly 400, probably after tonight, 400 officers injured. Of course, many of them black officers. One black officer killed, 2 black officers killed. As far as we know, $25 million in Minneapolis alone in damage. And of course, the Democrat talking point right now is they want to defund the police. Wow. That's the conversation. Yeah. Defund the police, which was echoed by one portion of the squad, the Burt Ward of the squad, Rashida Tlaib.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, she's a horrible human being. Before I do have...
You know, I'm going to drink to Steven Crowder thinking Rashida Tlaib is a horrible human being. That's... Because that is funny. It's funny that not that I agree with him. I think that he's completely wrong, but I think Steven Crowder is a terrible human being, but, you know, to each their own.
Some opening thoughts, but before that, let's see what's going on at CNN so you know exactly what you're in for.
Over 107,000 dead, more than 40 million unemployed. Our economy is in tatters, almost 2 million Americans infected. All of that's an operating system over just 4 months behind this awful moment of the death of George Floyd. Let me just say that.
So I'm watching Steven Crowder watching them watch I'm watching Steven Crowder as they watch CNN. So... Okay, I can do this. 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 Mike, you can do this. Come on.
A moment. And offer my deepest
Ooh, sorry guys. I'm having technical difficulties on my computer. Sorry about that break. Should have reset. I knew I should have restarted my computer and get all the updates in before I did this, but let's see if we can plow through this. I had some like freezing issues on my browser. I was like, oh shit, why is it not playing? But okay, here we go.
Minneapolis.
I'm just confused. He said that as though that was Trump's fault.
Yeah.
By the way, is anyone buying this?
It is Trump's fault. Like, go to the 2 months of COVID-19 response was wasted because the president chose not to believe the pandemic was real. And a note about this COVID response: who did it affect the most? Minority communities, lower income minority communities. So before George Floyd's death, minority communities were already dealing with heavy losses from COVID-19 with very little help or response. So I feel that, yes, these protests are definitely a response to police brutality, but it's also just the fact that the minority communities have been affected heavier from COVID-19 than white suburban people who get to have the luxury to stay at home and work at home and aren't necessarily considered essential. So I just want to clarify that right there. So yes, in a way, this is Trump's fault, Stephen.
Is anyone out there buying this shit?
Me. I am. I'm buying this because it's true.
That Donald Trump is to blame for the economy?
It's a moment.
When the fact
Yes.
is you guys condemned him for wanting to open it back up.
Or the COVID virus. It's somehow his fault.
I do condemn him for wanting to open it back up because we're not ready. We're in a pandemic. He wants to open it back up because the economy is the only thing that he can run on for his reelection because he sucks in every other facet. The economy was the one thing he could run on as something positive, and that doesn't exist anymore. And he's freaking out about that. And what do we get as a result? I'm recording this now. It's June 11th. So we're in the midst of, the reopening and, this on top of the protests, we're seeing spikes in COVID-19 related illnesses. Arizona right now is nearing the point where their ICUs are going to be overwhelmed. I think it was 14 states in Puerto Rico. They're reaching record numbers of COVID. So yeah, I do blame Trump for this. The buck stops with him. Enough of this bullshit of him not taking responsibility for his actions. No, he is the president. And a lot of his actions are due to his policies.
He can take this.
Well, he put a travel ban in the Wuhan and China. By the way,
who fucking cares? It didn't the virus that it ended up in America didn't come from China. It came from Europe. So I don't give a shit if you fucking did a travel ban in China. That's not the point.
Travel ban from the Congo? Because Ebola's making a comeback.
That's true.
Yeah, Ebola said, COVID, hold my beer.
Oh, gosh. That's all we need.
And I don't know if you know this, guys, but Ebola's a dick.
Yeah, way worse.
It's a real problem. As much as you like to hate Samaritans first, because of white Christian people, they went into Liberia when Ebola had a 50% death rate. Can you imagine if COVID had a 50% death rate? People wouldn't be on.
Speaking of Ebola, I think President Trump probably could have taken some pointers on how the Obama administration handled the Ebola outbreak. Because it is a stark contrast and it's abysmal in how we were prepared and ready for COVID as opposed to the readiness that we were for Ebola.
On again, off again mask like J-Lo and Ben Affleck, I couldn't think of who her husband is right now, but it was Jennifer. That's the original Jennifer. The point is, it wouldn't be on again, off again mask below the nasal cavity like the airline workers did at Delta when I was traveling. They would be hiding in their house, and of course, you would still have a gun shortage because they would be shooting anyone who comes within sneezing distance of their humble abode.
Yeah, it's a really different deal. Watch a movie where they have a documentary where they have doctors going in. They have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer before they go in. They treat it very seriously. This is something completely different.
Yeah, and
you can bring the volume down, Tim, from HR, just while we're doing this, so that it doesn't distract folks. What are we about to say?
The point's been made over and over, but on the left, you have a guy saying something about.
I just want to comment about the masks because Ebola, if you contract it is deadly. But in order to spread it, it's quite different. From what I remember, because Ebola has to be transitioned more bodily. It's not like somebody, it's not as, I guess, as airborne. I'm not saying that COVID's airborne, but it can survive longer on dust particles in the air, as opposed to Ebola, which survives very badly outside of the human body. So if you get it, it sucks, but it is hard. It is harder to transmit from COVID. There is a distinct difference between COVID and Ebola in terms of the disease and how it operates. And I'm already getting really pissed off that these fucking assholes are trying to compare it to something even remotely similar.
Like COVID, and then on the right you have a bunch of people not standing 6 feet apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he's not berating them for anything.
And it just goes
I have a point on that.
righteous.
By the way, I am calling every single church out there, every single church open on Sunday, every single house of worship open on Sunday. People shouldn't be able to go out and roll over cop cars, and you can't go to church unless you're 6 feet apart. If you need to be 6 feet apart at a church and put on a mask, fine. They don't get to commit mass felonies and.
I'm just saying my own opinion on the protests. There's a reason why I, besides the fact that I work at nights and that, when these protests are happening, I'm at work. But I am a little self-conscious about, these mass gatherings because, yes, a lot of people I see are wearing masks, but these protests and these riots are still happening because, yes, we are, in the midst of a pandemic still. So I'm very self-conscious about that. So, I mean, I think that should highlight the desperation that many people are feeling right now. And you know what? I find it ironic that Steven Crowder is, complaining about people mass gathering right now in a pandemic when he supported the Open America protests. And this motherfucker's full of shit.
Shoot officers. All churches open. All businesses open. No, is there anything less essential than being an asshole in the street?
Is there anything less essential than being a fucking dumbass on the internet?
Oh, that's essential. Really? Hold on. I get the tear gas out of my eyes. I'm kicking this woman because she was wearing a MAGA hat. And it's a part of the American fabric. It's absolutely essential. All churches, all businesses open now, or
If churches are essential, can we text them asking for a friend?
you support the United States military coming in and kicking ass without mercy. Take your choice. And every single pastor up there, if you don't open your church, you're a pussy.
Did Steven Crowder just come out to support U.S. suppression by the military? Mr. Pro-Second Amendment against big government, against military takeover, is now supporting the military putting down protests?
Go ahead and everyone tell me what it is that you guys want. What do you expect tonight? Because I have a lot
That
to
is
say.
a big statement. Well, I would expect
No, it's a true
to see,
statement.
it's a big
true
one.
statement. If you don't
It's a
open your
big
church, you're a pussy.
Well, look, I would say this. Pastors can whatever they want to do if they want to, but I think they should open their church.
Oh, fuck.
Is this what you meant by tell us what you're going to think about tonight? I don't think they have
those are
chicken
different
skin
animals.
pollen. I don't think.
I understand he's trying to be funny, but that is obnoxious.
I think we're going to see much the same that we've seen here, except I think what we're going to see more of is people like this coming on and saying, U.S. Army generals are against Trump. Can't you see that these people with great credibility are against Donald Trump for what he has been doing? Like, generals don't have an agenda. Like, generals don't have political beliefs that could skew them one way or the other. They're completely, neutral arbiters of truth, and that's not.
You know what? I'm going to call bullshit on this because, yes, James Mattis spoke out against Trump's authorization to use the military against these protesters. James Mattis is far from liberal than I could possibly fathom right now. And the fact that he is speaking out against that does not make him a liberal now. I mean, it just shows how fucking batshit insane Trump is.
That's not really what's going on. And we're also going to see more of the black leaders in the community pushing more and more and more. There are some peaceful protests. People walking in the street, that's peaceful. It doesn't tend to stay that way, but
it doesn't tend to stay that way because of how the police react and how they break up and disperse these protests. They react very violently, and that escalates the violence. And of course, you lead to chaos from that. And from that fucking chaos, yes, you're going to get riots. You're going to get looting.
No. Oh, come on. I stepped on it, guys. My bad.
I guess we're drinking.
Sorry, but I think what we're going to see, though, is obviously what we've seen every single other night. This has been going on. Every single major city in the United States on fire from peaceful protests.
Yeah.
As soon as the sun goes down.
And we're not going to see much reporting on it on CNN.
Yeah, we won't see it over
I'm
there.
going on a limb. I'm going on a limb.
Again, I have to clarify that, yes, these protests start as peaceful, but how the police break them up is what leads to the escalation of violence, is what leads to these riots and looting. Because the police are so busy dispersing the crowds of protests that they're not watching out for the businesses that are being vandalized and looted at the moment. So there's a real disconnect of what they're talking about here.
Going to go to
jumping off an earlier point that you made, I think that this probably is the closest thing to a religious sacrament that the left has.
Right.
Is watching people again loot and chaos. Chaos is their.
I don't care. I mean, I don't condone looting. The difference is I understand why it happens. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that sacrament, the reality of the world that we live in.
Only religious sacrament that they have. So yes, of course, this needs to be protected. But yeah, again, church.
Yeah,
stay far away.
And let me be
not worth the risk.
I think we need to, like we do with change. Do you have any thoughts? Sorry, does anyone? Then I'm going to go.
I'm looking forward to see how they try to spin this into anything.
I want you to speak your piece, because then, buddy, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say about the protesters, yo. Go ahead.
No, you got.
No. So one thing before we go, we were laughing that it's breaking news. The protesters are erupting around the country.
The pussy chicken dance.
That's your finest work.
It is my finest work.
Are they going to have a black guy on the show from his perspective? I'm just curious.
It's the work of which I am most proud. Someone turn that into a GIF and let everyone know that he's in tights. A couple of things. I think language really matters because they're going to say peaceful protest. Okay.
Oh, you did it.
Wait! Don't do it.
Protests that are not violent.
Listen, do it on everyone else because it's funny. Don't do it on me because you'll be fired.
And we'll be drunk, I think, too, is the point.
My threats become empty.
Oh, we're supposed to drink. Sorry.
It's been years.
Twice a day for me.
Fired,
rehired. I mean, does that count?
So there are no peaceful protesters at this point. What do I mean? Okay, if you are there right now and you are behind the police line, people don't understand. They go, police line, coppers, and you see, for example, that one example of the police who was still pushing the barricade when people were in front of the barricade. Well, let me explain something to you. How do you think the firefighters get in to put out the bombs that you've set, assholes? Huh? There was a fire, I believe, in Minneapolis with a woman and a child in the house. And you know what? The firefighters were coming to save them, and then the protesters, the mobs, peacefully, mind you, because they didn't punch a firefighter right in the head. And I think that's because they didn't want the recoil to reverberate through their fists because they're wearing helmets. I bet you if they weren't wearing face masks, they probably would have been punched in the face. But thank God for social distancing. So let me ask you this: how is that peaceful? And let me ask you this. By the way, I want to be really clear about something. I think everyone needs to.
Again, this is like he's so close to the point, but he's like distancing himself from the actual reality of the situation. When police use this excessive force, they escalate the violence. So, applying, basic physics in this regard, for every reaction, you get an equal and opposite reaction. So when you use tear gas, or, you can go watch the last Mass Praxis video that me and Kevin did, where we showed a compilation of just excessive use of force by the police, them using their cars to run over protesters, them just pushing over a 75-year-old man, them just pepper spraying at random, drive-by pepper spraying even. You're seeing this. Like, how do you think people are going to react to this? It's obscene. Like, what response do you think everybody's just like, oh, okay, we're just going to go home then? No. You're going to have chaos afterwards. And you're going to have reaction. You're going to have people reacting to that. Fighting back, yes.
Protect their stuff. You need to protect your house, your family. I am not calling for anyone to go out into the streets and be a vigilante. Okay? Now, not right now. I'll explain where that changes in a second. Hint, it's about defunding the police. So when the firefighters are trying to, how do you think the firefighters get through? Right? The police cars have push bumpers. And so when you block a police barricade, you set up a barricade so police officers can't get through, you are also blocking the subsequent first responders behind them. The heroes. Remember, I know they're not on TikTok shaking their Instagram.
Now, I can understand this one example of like, yes, if there is an emergency, I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due. Yes, if there's an emergency situation, the firefighters got to get through and protesters are in the way. I can understand that, yes, you need to get them out of the way in order to, save the house that's on fire and the person that's inside. This is a far cry, though, of this being the example across the country. Across the country, it's basically just, hey, there's a curfew. We don't want you out. There's no immediate emergency that we have to get to that you're blocking. We just don't want you in the streets protesting. So we're going to disperse you in a very violent manner. I mean, I understand this antidote and I'm not denying that it exists, but for that to be the example across the board is nonsense.
But I think the firefighters trying to put out Antifa bombs are kind of heroes. Just consider it one.
Antifa bombs. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Okay, I just also want to clarify a couple of things here. I know Steven Crowder is talking about this, these scenarios where protesters are obstructing the paths for firefighters to get in to do their jobs. I also saw this in the Open America protests where protesters were literally blocking the streets, preventing paramedics to get into the hospitals. Now, I don't know if Steven Crowder talked about this when the Open America protests were still going on as a thing. And I don't know if he's addressed it at all or if he shares the same outrage as he does with the Black Lives Matter protests. I have not personally looked at any of these past videos to see if he did or not. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he didn't. But if he did not and he's complaining about this, then he is a real hypocritical piece of shit. Just saying.
You swarm a car, guess what? I'm not slowing down. Nope. You're now a speed bump. I'm going to run over protesters so it sounds like I'm driving on Braille. You driving over Stevie Wonder's Playboy? No, it's just...
I feel like, I don't know how many times I need to address this, so if there's a cut, it's because I refuse to continually repeat and reiterate points I've already made.
I'm trying to block the firefighting truck behind me. No problem with it because you see too many people being dragged from their cars and beaten. So, what's the first step? Stay home. Avoid these scenarios. Stay safe. But do not let people kick in your windshield and drag you from the car because just like David Dorn, the media is never going to tell your story. You won't be in the news. You won't have a mural. I need to be really clear about that. By the way, the thousands of black people killed in the past few years at the hands of black people will not get a wall or a mural.
No.
Oh, yes, the old black on black crime excuse.
George Floyd does, and we'll get into that in a second, which also really pisses me off. What also pisses me off is comparing this to the founding fathers, which is like revolution. Do you have any idea how much the revolutionaries wanted peace? Have you ever actually read any of the founding correspondence, the letters, the documents before the Boston Tea Party, which, by the way, very tame.
Very.
You're putting tea bags in a harbor.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you have any idea the kind of torture that people faced under the monarchy?
I mean, I'll admit that the Boston Tea Party was pretty stale in terms of like what happened, but that was a planned event to actually vandalize the East India Trading Company ships. I mean, we can talk about Americans being tarred and feathered. I mean, that's an example of rioting. We talk about the Boston Massacre being an example of how, rioting gets out of control. But yeah, this is a false equivalency.
Tried to broker peace because they didn't want taxation without representation. They tried to go a peaceful route, and then they weren't able to. These protests started absolutely violently. It's not close.
Yeah. Again, not true.
Well,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm actually doing some math right now to see how long this is going to take on 1.5 speed. And I think it's only going to be about like an hour and a half, thankfully. So I can do this. I can do this. I can get through Steven Crowder's 3 hours and 45 minutes stream on 1.5 speed. I can do this. I can totally do this.
Or as the commanders actually told their soldiers as they saw the first boats from the British come in,
right,
don't shoot first.
Right.
They said wait until you hear a shot.
Yes.
So they're saying wait until one of you either gets shot or you hear somebody else shooting, so that they so nobody could say that this was an offensive war.
And at this point, over 12 people have been shot dead, over 300 officers have been shot at, injured. So guess what?
And again, like speaking of false equivalencies, we're talking about something that happened in the 18th century versus now. Technology's changed, tactics have changed, like times have changed. Like this is nonsense.
Yeah, shots fired.
Right, very different.
Sorry, shots fired. You don't get to go into Syria, hang out, and be like, well, I'm just here behind with ISIS. I'm not doing anything. It doesn't matter if they say ISIS clear out. Well, I'm not doing anything, but that guy's burning a Christian alive in a cage. Well, I don't support that. Well, you could have fooled me because you're wearing the team jersey. Also, let me be really clear about something, speaking from a Christian perspective. If you kneel, I see this going around, and Joe Biden kneeled, and Bill de Blasio kneeled, by the way, who demanded the badge of that one officer. I don't know if he said demanded the badge. It turned out the officer only pulled out his gun after his friend was almost knocked unconscious by a brick. So that's the kind of politicization you're seeing here. If I have a friend who's hit in the head with a brick and I have a gun, I am pulling it out, and if the guy keeps coming forward with another brick, fanning the hammer. Again, not encouraging violence, going out and seeking it, but we cannot disarm our own police officers, and God forbid, like the left wants you to, disarm people in their own homes.
So about defunding the police, the Second Amendment deal is a whole separate situation, but in terms of defunding the police, the reason why the police are so funded right now is because it's an easy way to sweep all of society's problems under a rug. And ignoring the situation. This is why we're having these protests right now, because of all this constant ignoring of the problems that we face within minority communities. As well as, finally a response to the militarization of the police, this excessive use of force. Like, this is the blowback that you're getting. And this entire cast is like missing the point of that.
Let me be clear about kneeling. This is something that's going on right now. Are you going to kneel for your white privilege? First off,
it's really funny if people took Colin Kaepernick seriously, like a few years ago about his kneeling protest, we probably wouldn't be in this situation right now. But because you didn't like the fact that Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, and now you're having a problem with people standing up now and against this police brutality, like I can't appease you. I can't fucking please you in any sense. Like, you guys are fucking morons.
You should never apologize for something that you haven't done. Why? Right. Because then your true apologies ring hollow. Your apologies need to be sincere as a Christian, because I see Jesse Jackson talking about one shepherd and one sheep, and I don't even know that he's read a Bible anytime. You might have an Advent calendar.
The Reverend is an honorary title.
Right, it's an honorary title, yeah. And he got it from Phoenix Asshole University.
Yeah, it was Malin.
Where'd you get it? I got it from DeVry Prick. That doesn't sound like a good university. If someone demands that you kneel, and you kneel, again, I don't want this, you're a pussy. You are a pussy, you do not kneel. Let me explain to you, as a Christian, I only kneel before the kingdom of God. I only kneel at the throne of God. If you don't like it, you can tune out right now. Sorry if it offends you. I'm a Christian. I kneel at the throne of God. And by the way, I want to be really clear, Jesus God. And everyone says we worship the same God. No, not exactly, because you have Islam or Muhammad basically said that Jesus...
Is this guy really... This is a little minute point I want to make. It's not relevant to like what's happening right now in America, but Muslims, Jews, and Christians all worship the same God. That's why they're a part of the Abrahamic faiths. Like what he's talking about, the Jesus God, this is a semantic game that he's playing.
This was a fraud. He didn't actually get crucified, and it was actually people replaced the body. So that's actually blasphemy. So I kneel at the throne of God, Jesus, or as I call him, good guy God, and you punks are absolutely no God. I want to be very clear. I do not kneel for a man, and I do not kneel for someone who wants to intimidate me. Now, finally, let me be really clear about this. Some people got mad that I talked about this on Glenn Beck's show this morning. I think I've been very...
You know, he's really missing the point of kneeling. Like, when Colin Kaepernick's, like, initial protest, kneeling, it was a compromise, because... I forget the basis, but he was talking to an Army veteran about how to protest during the national anthem. And he suggested to him kneeling as a compromise to standing at pledge of the national anthem. I mean, so that's why the whole kneeling thing happened. And nowadays people are kneeling as a sign of protest against police brutality. So again, fuck. Oh my God. I can do this. I can get through this fucking 3-hour fucking stream. We're already half hour in. I can do this. But I'm really frustrated how out of touch these fucking people are.
Be clear that George Floyd, wrong. Did not deserve and should not have died at the hands of that officer. I think right now they might be trying to put on more harsh charges.
I think they did.
So
They're
that it gets dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it gets dropped and they can continue the riot.
Sorry, I'm
You
texting
can't
somebody.
actually create motive and say that this guy went out and wanted to lynch a black guy. But I did say third-degree murder, manslaughter, absolutely. Sure. Been very clear that should not have happened. Doesn't matter that he had meth.
I'm drinking whenever they say something stupid. That's my rule. I'm getting shit-faced on this stream.
And fentanyl in the system. That doesn't matter. He shouldn't have. If you have fentanyl and meth in your system and you have a heart attack, it's the police officer's job to try and keep you alive. Right? To serve and protect, not to control us. Period. Now, separate sentence. Let me explain to you why it matters that George Floyd was a scummy, violent criminal. Didn't deserve it.
All right. I've seen this so many times. The victim smearing, the character assassination of people who are victims of police brutality. I saw it with Tamir Rice. I saw it with James Gardner. I'm now seeing it with George Floyd. People pointing him like he wasn't a saint. That is not the point. I don't deny that these people had flaws. I have flaws. Steven fucking Crowder has fucking flaws. I'm getting really sick and tired of people trying to paint these like individuals, victims of police violence, as, you know, not saints, in quotes, as a justification to deflect from the problems that we face with police brutality right now. I am sick of this. I hate it. And I hate you, Steven, for doing this. I'm fast forwarding over this.
End of sentence. Right?
Good?
Now, let me explain. Get shot. A lower chance, mind you, than white people. That's a statistic that nobody wants to talk about.
Like, I just want to clarify. When you hear people do this, like, well, George Floyd wasn't no saint. Tamir Rice had, was shown in a picture with holding a toy gun. Or the fact that they talk about the crime, like in the most menial sense. You know, James Gardner was caught. He was selling single cigarettes. Oh, a huge crime that totally justified him being choked to death. James Floyd, counterfeit $20 bill. I don't care. Because that is distorting the reality of what we're facing at the moment. It is distracting people from the fact that we have an immense police brutality situation at hand. I hate this. I see it all the time. It's trying to paint these people as thugs, that they somehow deserved what got to them. No, fuck this. And fuck you for, like, even supporting this.
White people are shot more often. Well, guess what? You're going to go out first. It won't even be close.
There's that douchebag. Bring it back up.
Bring it back up.
Bring it back up.
You know, what we're saying is defund the police is we're taking the responsibility that is typically held to the police, or I'm not saying like it was their initial responsibility. It's something that people are supposed to do, and giving it to social workers. Because again, using the police for all societal problems is just sweeping shit under the rug. That is what's happening right now. And we're seeing how it's not an effective strategy. And that's why you're seeing funding for the police in terms of militarization. Because again, people don't want to deal with society's problems. They just want to sweep it under the rug. And this is the blowback we're facing right now. The war on drugs is another example of why we're seeing this heavy militarization of the police. So, depending in the future, if we change our drug policies, yeah, I could see the lesser relevance of police use as opposed to now. But yeah.
Fallon, it was Brett Fallon's tweet.
Well, yeah. So the only kind of change, the only kind of action that
We're gonna put y'all back in chains. Oh, he said change.
Okay. Yeah. So the only kind of action that the left allows is top-down change.
Right.
Right. So, but what you're saying is that we need bottom-up change. We need inside-out change, not outside-in. So they're only.
I mean, these protests are a bottom-up change. Look what's happened right now. Because of these protests, we're having Minneapolis deciding to defund the police. What we're seeing right now in Congress, DC, we're seeing a police reform bill. This is a bottom-up change. This is the people in power responding to these protests from the people down below. This is a bottom-up change. Fuck you. In your fucking Viking outfit.
Morality just sorts into layers and everything's fine. But they don't want layers. They don't want any kind of real morality. Real change does not happen that way.
And here's the thing. If you want to look at America where you have a defunded police force, just look at these major cities in the United States when the police have been removed from an area and looting, rioting, beating.
What places? Tell me what places. Tell me what places.
Breaking into every store, destroying stuff. The very basest thing that we could possibly do as a human population, we do it. When police and authority are gone, when the punishment for our crime is gone, we do that. And when we talk about justice, right, everybody's calling for justice right now. I've seen a few tweets that say this is not, we just want equal justice. And I'm like, well, hold on. I thought that the cop was fired.
I think that right? Justice there is a moon pie.
This guy murdered him. He's being charged for second-degree murder. I think it went from third degree to second degree. Yeah, second-degree murder. All the other officers are also being convicted right now. And you know what it took for them to get that conviction? These protests. Because if nothing happened, the worst that would happen for these cops they would have been suspended. Because the police unions are too strong and they protect bad cops. Another thing that we're seeing from this bottom up a change because of the protests. New York has changed their police laws, so now the public can now see the the disciplinary actions of the police officers. It's now made public, so now you can see which precinct has so many bad cops. Because before that was shielded from the public. You didn't know. The cop that killed George Floyd had a massive amount of complaints. What needs to happen is more transparency of like who is doing the policing. Because of that, we're having these problems to begin with.
Everybody has a different definition,
She
Stephen.
needs her just
So-
desserts.
But I thought justice meant arresting somebody, trying them, and either convicting them or setting them free if they weren't guilty. Like, I thought justice was a process, and we are right in the middle of it, very quickly in the middle of it. Yeah. So what do you want? I don't honestly know. I can't go to a protester right now and say, tell me what you want. Why
You've never probably gone to a protester, so don't fucking patronize.
justice for Michael Floyd? Well, the only thing that we can do right now, George Floyd, the only
Did you say he already corrected himself? Never mind.
thing that we can do right now is try the person who's guilty. We can't go to DeLorean and change the situation.
He was tried because of these protests. He wouldn't have been tried. The other officers certainly would have been tried if these protests had happened. I dare anybody from this fucking crew to fucking tell me otherwise.
And we can all get together and say, hey, let's train the police officers. Let's get rid of the union so that we can fire bad ones and get those guys out of here. And let's all treat cops with respect.
Did you see that when I made the moon pie joke?
Oh, that was like
good.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that's where the definition of social justice comes in, right? So it's not that they want individual justice; they don't want this particular instance.
They want to
of it
string them up on the spot, and that's not justice.
They want to defund the police.
Right.
And if Americans knew this, they'll not talk about this on CNN. If Americans knew this, right now you have, what is it, 58% support using the National Guard? I think only 17% are against it.
Yeah.
If you said, hey, by the way, Rashida Tlaib and the leaders...
I don't think that's a true statistic, but whatever. We'll accept it at face value because I don't want to look it up right now.
this movement have openly expressed that their desire, their endgame is to defund the police, you would see that number skyrocket to probably 90. And let me reiterate this. If you have a conniption fit when people want to defund Planned Parenthood, but you want to defund the police, you're an asshole. Asshole. Okay? I'm sorry. I don't really have a whole lot of time for your arguments. You want a welfare state. You want to make sure that people get free healthcare, free television, free phones, free abortions, but no police, which is one of the very few legitimate purviews of government. Oh my gosh. These people, they don't want guns. By the way, the gun stores are picked clean.
Yeah.
If they're Walther's sponsor, I highly recommend you go pick up a Walther looking for a handgun, but every place I've gone, they don't have them. So let me tell you what else. SIG is really good if you can find it. Of course, Glock are really good. AK are really good. There are some Rugers that are good. Weapons so much.
Is this free advertising for these gun manufacturers, Steven? I'm surprised you weren't going to get paid beforehand.
Kind of so much.
Norway.
It's not about sponsorship. It's about you being safe right now. I recommend the Walther, but they're clear sold out.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be able
Hope you re-up that contract, Walther, because we can't do any more. You can't sell anymore.
We did it all for
The shelves are empty.
Well, and anytime you put the military, the United States military, into the U.S. territory to help, you have to be careful, right? There's a reason that we don't typically do this, and that's fine to say, hey, you got to be careful. But everybody's saying like this is the end of American democracy. This is the first steps towards it. Like Gary Kasparov is tweeting things about it. The chess champion who thinks he can write books on what it's like.
Yeah,
to
what
be,
is that?
Yeah, exactly. He's a very smart guy, but not in this. And he's saying this is the end of American democracy. See, they're putting troops in the streets so that they can kind of take away all your freedoms. No. We're the side that wants more freedom. We're the side that wants you to be able to defend yourself and not have to worry about people killing you because you happen to be driving down the wrong street.
Do you notice they pulled all these troops out?
This is really because Kevin and I talked about this in our past episode about Trump's speech in particular about protecting your Second Amendment rights with using the military. I think the Trump administration wants to use the military to put down these protesters, but he wants to use people like these Steven Crowder people and their supporters, these Second Amendment people with their guns. He wants to use them as like auxiliary forces to put down the unrest that's happening from police brutality. That's fucking nerve-wracking for me. You know, all this talk about the government coming in and using excessive force, like tyrannical governments. What is more tyrannical than the president of the United States throwing in the military into the country to break up civilian protests, to even shoot them? And these motherfuckers are going to try and play on the sidelines like it's justified? Fuck you. Fuck you. When push came to shove, when the tyrannical government finally came in, you fuckers pussied out. You're the real fucking pussies. Viking pussies.
Whenever you started attacking people,
Yes.
they're defending stuff.
This is day 10,
a
right?
random,
This is day 10?
Day 10, right?
So it wasn't
They're not
day
just
1
bringing
that
them
they
out
did
just to
that.
bring
I'm
them
just
out.
being clear.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the federal government is stepping in because state governments, city governments,
Refuse.
and not only
Right.
that, but family governments and self-government. We're not even
What the fuck is a family government?
controlling ourselves.
Right.
So that's why they're stepping in.
No,
because
yeah,
every
people
level of
kneel
government is failing.
rather than protecting their stuff, taking up arms to protect their family and their homes,
Right.
not going out committing acts of violence against
Right.
crowds, but protecting their stuff. You have people who are kneeling.
Right.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Kneeling to evil, and these people are evil. Anyone who demands that you kneel and is not God is likely an evil person. That's a good litmus test. If someone walks up to you and says, kneel and apologize, and you're like, well,
I mean, I'm not saying that kneeling is evil, but is Steven Crowder gonna say that all these officers that are kneeling to the protesters out of solidarity, are they evil then? Just curious. Because I've seen that, I've seen that plenty. I've seen police pandering to the protesters by kneeling. Are they evil in Steven Crowder's eyes? I'm just curious.
for what? I guess I should do this. He
Kick him
seems
in the
like a
nuts.
nice fellow. You're probably about to hear a, and your wallet's gone.
Well, yeah, whatever you think in your head kneeling means, it actually means submission and worship.
Right,
Yeah,
submission
yeah,
and worship.
yeah.
So,
And
but I did notice your Tupac shirt. So, you know what? Okay, I'll take a knee.
Well, that's a bad
Shadow
one because-
Gospel was one hell of a track.
Yeah. That was actually black on black crime when Tupac died, so that's a
That's
bad example.
right, yeah, and Biggie.
And
That's
Biggie
right,
as
yeah.
well.
Let's go to CNN a little bit because that's why we're here. Let's see what they have to say. They're showing peaceful protests.
He was just doing what he thought was right. It's about leadership.
What's the
That's
hashtag
what
for the
Alan was
stream?
saying earlier in this
Crowder
program.
Riot
Crowder Riot
Stream.
Stream. Tweet the hashtag Crowder Riot Stream. Let us know what you're watching.
On the
Send us in your
stream.
exclusive videos too. Last time we had the exclusive interview with the man who videotaped the beating in Texas.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't
That's
expect
right.
it. So please, we want to get this out.
I'm sorry, I'm not even an hour in. I'm not even an hour into the stream. I don't know. Before I was like, I can do this, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's my day off. And I'm like, do I really want to waste time watching Steven Crowder? I don't like the conflict right now. Okay. I can do this. Okay.
Use the
We have a large
hashtag.
platform and an audience. We want to make sure that people are getting accurate information. So tweet me at Crowder. Let's watch some CNN here.
But they know better. The Army taught them better than that, to use a damn helicopter as a weapon of intimidation. That is stupid.
Oh, weapon of intimidation now.
Why?
This is a response to the DC protests when the military helicopters were being used to fly low in order to disperse protesters in an intimidating act. I mean, this is what we're talking about, excessive force. The military clamping down on peaceful protests. This is the stuff that the Crowder crew wants to mock because they're assholes. Privileged assholes.
Details revealed in court in the Ahmaud Arbery murder case. Another black man whose killing was caught on video. What an investigator said about the last minutes of Mr. Arbery's life.
Yeah, do you guys know the story? They're now saying that one eyewitness said the guy who shot him called him the N-word after he shot him.
Yeah, somebody somewhere said something.
Well, which is weird because the reason people are outraged is because there was videographic evidence, and no one saw that.
Right.
By the way, that could not be less relevant if he committed an actual crime and murdered an innocent person.
Right.
Just like when that guy was it Justice for Scurlock, right? This was something. I guess this all happened since we did the last stream. Justice for was it James Scurlock or James Spurlock, the filmmaker?
Spurlock is the filmmaker.
Morgan Spurlock is the filmmaker.
Morgan Spurlock. James Scurlock.
Yeah.
Not
Super Size Me Guy.
Super Size Me Guy.
We've got it different.
So that was a good example where they said, oh, he was shot, and there was one witness, of course, a black person. He yelled the N-word. Well, actually, every single other witness who was asked.
Props to Steven Crowder for having the restraint from not actually saying the N-word, because knowing him, I feel like he would say it with no scruples if he wasn't going to be called out for it.
To provide a testimony or an account independently. No one saw that. So there's a reason that eyewitness testimony is considered the least reliable form of evidence. What actually happened, and we might even be able to have this footage. You know what? Let's bring that up, the security camera footage, because this was the #1 trend on Twitter, Justice for James Scurlock, and everyone was protesting and taking a knee. Now he's not trending anymore. Why? Because the footage came out. He was being pummeled repeatedly by 2 or 3 men. He then took his gun that he had on him, and full right to use, fired 2 warning shots to scare them off. Then when he got up from his bloody, huddled mess, Scurlock tackled him down and started punching him, and he shot him. So, of course, the videographic evidence was reviewed, and I believe the judge or DA said, okay, you're free to go. And people had a fit. Justice. Well, I understand maybe there was a lack of justice and that the people who ran off in the warning shots should also spend a good amount of time in the drunk tank. But I don't know if you could ask for me to
get shot in the ass.
Let's bring up the footage here. This is Scurlock that was the #1 hashtag for 12 hours. Oh, is that? I only saw the security camera footage.
It's a cell phone.
Does this actually show the altercation right here?
Wow.
Or is this just the altercation beforehand?
It looks like it's beforehand.
It's beforehand. Yeah, there's actual footage from the security camera that shows the guys on him beating him. So find that. That's what the judge actually released.
And you have every right to defend yourself. I don't know where we got the idea that if
You have every right to defend yourself, yes. Does that also include against police excessive use of force in dispersing protests? Just curious.
threaten somebody, if you violently attack somebody, if you try to pull somebody out of their car in the midst of a protest when they're like, I don't know where we got the idea that the response should always be calm and it always should be proportional to the threat. Like if somebody's pulling me out of my car, I don't know what proportional is. I have no idea if they're going to kill me right outside of this or if they're going to hang me from the bridge by my ankles and pull my pants down and like, you know, I don't know what they're going to do.
What's proportional when
This is entirely hyperbolic.
A man jams a gun
Exactly.
and wipes stuff.
You have no idea if he's going to pull the trigger and laugh or if he's just using it to keep her there, which are both wrong.
You don't know the end of the
You have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so we have this. Remember, keep in mind before you run this. This was. Do we have audio on it or no? No. This was the trend for several hours. And
Pouring myself more.
For Scurlock, and you can see why it went away pretty quickly. Let's bring this up.
Here we go.
Okay, so you'll see here the altercation. Look, they mount him. I believe his name is Gardner. They're both beating him up right there. See, look, they're both beating him up. The man on the bottom, he fires a warning shot, so they get up and run away. Now he gets up, gets tackled again. Oh, and they're choosing not to show the video because the shameful part in that is where the man shoots the person off of him.
Yeah.
You know.
Gosh,
self-defense.
You know why I don't want to show that? Because he was still punching him while he got shot.
Yeah.
We need to be really clear about that.
I mean, what is the point of this? What is the point of this? I am not in disagreement that you have a right to defend yourself. Like, I would just like that context to apply when the police are using excessive force against you.
And I don't know. Have they mentioned the police officer? I just forgot. David Dorn at all on CNN at any point?
I haven't seen it. No.
None at all. Okay, here they are. They're back. Justice for Ahmaud Arbery rally in Georgia. So many rallies for justice.
I mean, it's really hard to keep track at this point.
He was 25 years old. He was out for a job.
You pretentious cocksuckers.
12 miles from his
now
house.
charged in a case.
Out for
Today,
jobs,
the Georgia
little job.
courtroom investigators shared new and sickening details about the killing. It is hard to hear, and we want to warn you, it is hard to watch this, but this happened. The only reason we know about it is because these murderers were so proud of what they did to a fellow human being because of the color of his skin that they videotaped it all.
Yeah, and called the cops. A racist who's committing a hate crime calls the police.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't necessarily consider that unimaginable. Let's not forget that many of the police are racist.
Wait, this is where plausible. I am. I want the whole world to know that I should be fried.
Right, exactly. Doesn't make any sense at all.
3 white men.
Here's the evidence.
A 25-year-old black man running through their neighborhood.
By the way, if we were to say black and white, you'd be racist.
Right.
2020, victim Ahmaud Arbery was chased, hunted down, and ultimately executed at the hands of these men.
The 3 defendants, Gregory McMichael and his son Travis.
This is a serious thing happening right now. This happened obviously before the protest, but this is a serious thing. These people, this was basically a lynching. And these motherfuckers want to be like, oh, well, you know, how can I be racist if I called the cops? Let's not forget during the civil rights era, racists were protected by the cops because many of the cops not only were fucking racist, they were also Klan members. Like, this is not like out of the realm of reality. This is serious. And this guy was just literally killed for no apparent reason because they had these assumptions about him because he was black. It was racist.
And William Roddy Bryan Jr.
They knew it was Norway appropriation money.
The McMichaels initially told authorities they thought Arbery was a burglary suspect. The prosecution says Arbery had done nothing wrong.
The fact of the matter
He was on private property. Well, hadn't they had altercations
They
before?
didn't think he was a burglary suspect in the police.
No. He was looking at a house that was for sale. The house was for sale. He was inspecting it and looking at it, as you are allowed to do. And they shot and killed him because they thought he was a burglar because they obviously saw that he was black and assumed that he was a burglar. That was a racist intent.
Say he didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't change that they thought he was, and they called the cops and said they thought he was. Two things can be true.
Didn't they say they had interacted with him before?
This is disgusting, by the way. This is disgusting. I know these people, everybody on this cast is never going to apologize for the defense of this, but this is absolutely disgusting.
I don't know.
I thought somebody said that. Sorry, I didn't know if that was
This
common
unarmed victim in the
information.
middle of the street.
In fact, Arbery was out jogging the day he died. Friends say it's what he loved to do. Prosecutors detailed the
In
events
cargo shorts and
leading
Timberland.
Holy shit, Steven! Are you fucking kidding me? You don't think that he is a genuine jogger because of what he wears? Are you fucking kidding me?
He wasn't in Timberland, but I'm saying he wasn't jogging attire. Not saying he deserved to die, of course not, but I'm saying
No, I think you are. I really think you are implying that he deserved to die. Because you're a fucking asshole.
Plenty of reason for one to be suspicious, especially in a neighborhood that have been
Yeah, one to be suspicious. Why? Because of his skin color?
break-ins.
Before they finally cornered him, one of the suspects captured Arbery's final moment.
Now see, that's Arbery grabbing his gun, just to be clear. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
grabbing the man's gun. Now, that's horrible.
He was grabbing his gun because he feared for his life. Are you fucking kidding me? I want to comment on this because, like, people who are armed, the person that, like, is in defense and trying to grab for the gun, is not going to go the assumption that the person with the gun is just, like, going to shoot him in the leg. He's going to probably shoot to kill because he's fearing for his life. So, I'm not going to assume that his attempts to grab his gun was unjustified in any manner to disarm this guy. I'm really not. This is a precarious situation we're talking about here. And for you to assume that, like, oh, well, he was just going for his gun because he was just going to shoot him in the leg to disarm him, like, that's ridiculous. In no case do I see that happening with people who have their concealed carry, with just regular citizens that are armed. Never do I fucking see that.
Intention of using it, and then the other guy grabs it. You go, oh shoot, he can take my gun and he can kill me. And then the other guy goes, oh shoot, I'm grabbed. And then all of a sudden it escalates. Just like we see with these riots, which I said, please don't do this. It's going to escalate. More people are going to die. That is a horrible, unfortunate situation.
I'm gonna pause this. I gotta go to the bathroom. All right, I'm back. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna be peeing a lot because I've been drinking a lot. So, sorry.
They did call the cops. They shouldn't have brought out. They shouldn't have revealed their weapon. Period.
No,
Bad
not at all.
idea.
Yeah.
But none of this is new
Well,
evidence.
and that's the kind of vigilante justice. If you think that that's vigilante justice, somebody pulling out a gun to stop a would-be potential burglar or something like that, right? Even if they were
He was not burglaring. He was not burglaring.
and if they're racist, right? Oh, he looks like Hannibal Lecter right there, right above the lips. A little bit. You know, that guy that his face got eaten off?
And that the defense attorneys for all the men have maintained that all they were trying to do that day, even though two of the men were armed, was trying to have a conversation with Ahmaud Arbery.
I'm armed always. Is that a crime? Everyone here is always armed. They mentioned that. Black suspect, 3 white male suspects, and those men say they weren't doing anything wrong, though they were armed. Do you...
Yeah, because if you have a gun, you tend to think that you have more authority over the person that doesn't have a gun.
know that armed citizens, citizens with concealed carry permits, are the most law-abiding citizens in the country? What?
They also... fuck it. I'm just going to let that one fly.
You mentioned that unless you want people to think that being armed is a crime because you want to take away the Second Amendment. Oh, and by the way, coming down the...
That's why I'm letting it go, because he wants to, like, distort the narrative that more guns in society means that there's going to be an increase of gun violence. But if I advocate against that, I apparently want to take away your Second Amendment rights. So fuck off. Oh, wait, hang on, guys. I have a... Oh, okay, we're good. Fuck, my computer's acting up. I knew I should have done this update. Sorry. All right, we're gonna get through this. We're only like a third of the way into this fucking stream. Oh!
Saying because black, because race, because race. And they're going, well, hold on a second. Over a dozen people shot, over 300 officers killed. My friend's house was burned down. Why is it? And they tune an answer. Cooper goes, because black, because race. No, it's criminal behavior. It's absolute anarchy.
You're gonna cancel anyways.
That's why fake tweets still.
Okay, I just want to clarify. We're going to be fast forwarding a lot because they are reiterating a lot of points, and I'm tired of fucking hearing them, and I'm tired of addressing them. So let's just keep going here.
I am my own man whose name is Chris.
Our top story tonight.
Our top story tonight. That my name is Chris Cuomo, and I am human. All right, let's see what this guy is.
It's a pretty nifty mask. I want one of those masks when I wear it at work. I feel a lot more safe from COVID and tear gas.
Doing his space cape helmet.
Let me pan over here, show you the right here, going by the Atlanta officers, a large police presence here, and this is different, Chris, in the sense that the police seem to be not just as much a number.
They've been saying all night, peaceful, and
Peaceful.
if CNN could tune in to any place right now in that city where you were not hearing.
I know. Isn't that fucking ironic? Peaceful protests being dispersed with fucking flashbangs and tear gas. Wow. What a fucking conundrum, Steven. Is this an epiphany for you? You're fucking moronic. You're a fucking idiot. I hate you for being so stupid. But I do like the Viking outfits. They're really funny.
They would. Right now, I bet you someone's in his earpiece going like, hi, yeah, this is Chris Cuomo. Is there any way that you can tune into an area of town where you don't hear? Is there any way? Yeah, no, it's Chris Cuomo. Could you tune into any area?
Okay, still Chris.
Is there any way? Chris Cuomo. Yes.
It is kind of funny with it when the playback is sped up.
Okay, no, all right. Well, of a gas mask.
Get your 15 seconds.
Lieutenant, see if you can get over there and hear what he's saying.
Well, I'm scared, Chris.
It's hard to understand
I'm in
the
fear,
sound
Chris.
of domestic terrorist-rated bombs.
All right, let's move on.
Right, so if you start to have people penetrate your perimeter.
Right.
Kindly and respectfully said, please stay back from the perimeter.
Right.
Then the response was, we don't end at 9 p.m. Well, guess what? Your violence does. He says it do. And then there's another man. This is a peaceful protester, right? Because he's peaceful, saying, you're individuals, you can leave or you can stay. That is...
I like how Steven Crowder is so pro First Amendment when it comes to hate speech, but when it comes for peaceful assembly, he apparently wants to contradict himself. He wants to be like totally justified curfews and the disbursement of protests by police violence because it doesn't fit his narrative. I mean, there we go. We just get that out of the way. I feel like I can cut like half of the stream right now because like I've been listening to him like complain about these protests, about people's First Amendment rights. My God, the cognitive dissonance on these fucking people.
A direct bucking of the law of the officer. Doesn't matter if you say it nicely when the officer says, please, we need you to move back from the perimeter.
Well,
okay, y'all, I'm peaceful.
Right.
Y'all don't have to do shit. Y'all don't have to, let's go.
Why is it like when he makes fun of liberals, he always has to have it like in a homophobic response, like a gay, feminine voice? And he's so pissed off that Carlos Maza fucking called him out on this and like claimed that his free speech was under attack. Fuck you, Steven. Fuck you.
Were their friends?
Because this is a guy who, I mean, his qualification, he's not even a fit, long-time friend.
He's a passenger.
Qualifications has been printed on his shirt.
Yes.
The guy with George Floyd.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, I'm just checking in. Have we seen actual evidence of racism? I know it was a white police officer and a black suspect, but have we actually seen racism?
He was a bad cop.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the problem. When you focus on an issue that is fabricated by the media, you lose sight of the bigger issue, which is poor police training, which is a militarized police state, which is one that, frankly, is supposed.
Oh my God, Steven, did you just fucking hit on something? The militarization of police, the excessive funding of the police force. But then at the same time, you're complaining about defunding the police.
Supposed to serve and protect, but a lot of police officers, not all, think that they are there to control us. That is an issue that every person, black, white, could be on board with.
Shut the fuck up.
One of the questions here,
I'm Chris Cuomo.
Counselor, is why it took so long.
Now, a question for you, Miss Sideshow.
Mrs. Sideshow.
When you made your way to becoming president of the NAACP, were you afraid that they would find out about your race and actuality? You must be. Are you thinking of Coles Al? I'm Chris Cuomo.
Is this because they don't think she's black enough? Oh my God.
No, but I'm asking. I said I'm Chris Cuomo.
But they didn't.
That's right. They contained, they corralled me, and then they was only focused on George.
They put me in a rodeo.
He was doing a peaceful protest.
Oh my God.
And Chris, from what Mr. Wallace told me from the beginning.
Did you say he was doing a peaceful
protest?
protest?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Mr. Floyd.
Hey, also, by the way,
I'm already
sorry,
empty.
Garcon, I started with so
I'm drinking because you all are fucking stupid.
It's funnier when I have a beer in me, so
Dude, let's get two.
Drinking out of that $99 fucking mug, by the way. Oh, wait, Steven Crowder didn't pay for his, but he expects you all to pay for his fucking mugs.
Did Tim just say yeah? Yeah, you're awful.
Jeez, was that a joke?
Always
check
have
from
a
Tim?
beer in you.
Man.
You saw within seconds, really, of approaching the car, they put him in handcuffs. And then led him across. Right. You know, my client will tell you, he said, you know, I've been hurt before. Please, what is this about?
Right. So, Counselor,
So here's my question. We always have footage there, and then we have footage of him on the ground. Why don't we have footage of between the car and the ground?
Are the officers?
I'm not going to entertain this shit. I'm not going to entertain this shit. You can watch the... You know... Okay, you want to know the reason why we have video to begin with? Because somebody on their phone decided to film it. After being threatened by cops to stop filming. And they're trying to distort, like, the whole murder of George Floyd because, well, we need more angles. Fuck you. Fuck you, Steven. All right. So we're about... I'm going to say we're about halfway through this fucking video. But I'm a little sauced right now. A little sauced. This is what Steven Crowder does to me. He makes me drink a lot. But this has been quite a roller coaster, folks. So let's just get, we're going to get through this. So come on.
Oh, okay, so right now, this is just to be clear for people who are just tuning in. Again, the hashtag is Crowder Riot Stream. The promo code is Viking. You get $20 off. But just to update people who are tuning in, Donald Trump posted a tribute to George Floyd. Twitter removed it for copyright, even though they're not fact-checking any of the misinformation or attempted doxing, however inaccurate it may be against ourselves. They did remove this tribute to George Floyd posted by Donald Trump. All right, Reg the Beast, take it away, sir.
Do it.
All right, can't wait.
I understand the pain that people are feeling. The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened.
The president is only announcing this because of these protests. I gotta hammer that home. The reason why we're having change and we're talking about this is because of these protests. Not just because of the video itself.
It has filled Americans all over the country with horror, anger, and grief. We support the right of peaceful protesters, and we hear their pleas.
I can't remember, though, if this speech was made before or after the president decided to use the military to disperse of the peaceful protests in D.C. so he can make a PR stunt holding the Bible talking about law and order. So, again, I don't know. I find it, regardless, contradicting. Because that's what he just did.
The voices of law-abiding citizens must be heard, and heard very loudly.
You're so full of shit.
We will stand with the family of George Floyd, with the peaceful protesters, and with every law-abiding citizen who wants decency, civility, safety.
Is it the music?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think.
But what we are now seeing on the streets of our cities
Hold on a second, Reg.
has nothing to do with justice or with peace.
No, it doesn't, because you want to know why? Because the police was using excessive force to break up these protests. Like, these riots are not, they don't just spontaneously occur. They are a reaction to an equal and opposite reaction that the police initiate. Okay, well, let me clarify. I'm not going to say that it's always the police's fault. It's a multifaceted situation. You have undercovers that want to incite riot and vandalism. You have these wannabe anarchists that just want to fuck shit up and fight the police. You have right-wing white nationalists that are infiltrating Black Lives Matter in order to incite riots and violence in order to start a race war. Again, multiple variables. But to say that they are a result, these riots are a direct result of peaceful protests is absurd. And it's distorting the narrative.
The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists.
True.
The
That's a
violence
good message.
and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical.
So I know this is on the kowtows of him trying to label Antifa as a domestic or terrorist organization when Antifa is not an organization. I am Antifa because I am an anti-fascist. There is no leader of Antifa. It has no organizational structure. I mean, there are people that will belong to local Antifa groups, but other than that, there's no membership. This is absurd. This is like trying to outlaw terrorism in general. It's a ridiculous, nonsensical narrative.
Left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs. For no reason. The mobs are devastating the life's work of good people and destroying their dreams.
This is as presidential as one can get.
Yeah. It harms those who have the least. We cannot and must not.
Again, riots are a result, not an initial consequence, but they are a result of police excessive use of force of dispersing peaceful protests. Got to get it out there.
Allow a small group of criminals and vandals to wreck our cities and lay waste to our communities. We must defend the rights of every citizen to live without violence, prejudice, or fear. Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand. I stand before you as a friend and ally to every American seeking justice and peace.
He is so desperate to pander the black vote before this George Floyd deal, he was trying to kowtow just to skim off a few black votes in order to make another electoral win in the 2020 re-election. But after this, I feel like that minority vote has been completely squandered. And this is a desperate attempt to try and get that back. I find this hilarious.
No one is more upset than fellow law enforcement officers by the small handful who fail to abide by their oath to serve and protect. Bluster.
No, it's bluster. It's fucking blustered as fuck, man.
And, we support the overwhelming majority of police officers who are incredible in every way and devoted public service. We must all work together as a society to expand opportunity and to create a future of greater dignity and promise for all of our people. Every citizen in every community has the right to be safe in their workplace, safe in their homes, and safe in our city streets. We are working toward a more just society, but that means building up, not tearing down, joining hands, not hurling fists, standing in solidarity, not...
This means nothing after his dispersal of the protests in DC. This means absolutely nothing. This is bluster. This is definitive. This is textbook definition of just bluster and bullshit. We're moving on. I can't do this. All right, I'm back. I had to pee again. I'm a little sloshed right now, but what a great way to pause it. So yeah, halfway through, we can do this. Come on.
And tissue gets into my blood and toxifies it. Isn't that fun? No, you're weak and now you're sick.
It's dialysis. That's not fun.
All right, we have Tim Pool.
Yes,
Am I not
yeah,
mistaken?
Oh boy, Tim Pool. We finally get it. We get the grifter on the fucking idiotic, moronic, louder with Crowder. It's now complete. I gotta pour myself more. Hang on.
Mr. Pool, are you there, sir?
I am indeed. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on a second. Yes, we can hear you. We just saw
They're both
someone who
on
looked a little bit like you there. He had your beanie on. Can you confirm, in fact, this is not green screen trickery? You are not at the White House?
I am not actually at the White House, but some people try to do what I do and report.
Right.
The greatest form of flattery,
It is the greatest form of flattery. Also, if your calling card is going to be an item that can be procured for $6 at Target, it's not necessarily copyright material.
Unfortunately for me.
Yes. Though it can be looted.
That's
so
true.
there is that.
That's free.
You just had a stream going on, right, Tim Pool?
I did, yes.
And what were you guys talking about in the stream? We've been watching CNN, and it's been remarkable that they have been trying to avoid going to the ground tonight at all costs. They're not showing the ground. The one time they cut to the ground, we heard what sounded like mortars going off. The police respectfully asking folks to honor the perimeter. They said no, and then we hadn't gone back until just now. So what have you guys been covering?
Minneapolis is talking about disbanding their police department and the defunding of police. Yeah, totally disbanding it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a rather outdated stream, but as I'm saying this now, the Minneapolis City Council has passed a resolution to defund the police department in a non-veto resolution. So yes. Now, I can already tell how Tim Pool is going to talk about why that's bad. I think I've reiterated points on the necessity of it, but I feel like with this entire stream, I'm going to have to constantly go over points again and again and again.
So that's where we're at. And we just had some conversations about what that would mean. I mean, it sounds crazy, but there's actually some arguments for why it might work if you consider what Black Lives Matter activists have been talking about, this guy Hank Newsom, is having armed community patrols so they are responsible for their own community and their own policing. There's an argument for it, a conversation to be had. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, all the 2A people would probably be happy to see all of these liberals now defending the right to bear arms.
Yeah, that's
and
interesting.
taking responsibility for their own safety and stop putting the responsibility on police to come and rescue them when...
This is what I'm talking about when I say Tim Pool is a grifter. He is literally pandering to the Second Amendment people right now.
No crime is happening.
Right. But they don't
Maybe
want
that
to, but they don't want to defend the Second Amendment. They really just want it to go to a federal level where they can indict people who disagree with them. That's the problem. They literally want gulags.
Wow. No.
The crazy ones.
Well, I don't know. I mean, has Rashida Tlaib suggested that, hey, we expand the Second Amendment? Because this is, the most vocal legislator that I know. In other words, if someone said, hey, defund the police and let's have a robust defense of the Second Amendment, I would listen to them. I've only heard defund the police from people who also say strip the Second Amendment. Am I mistaken? Because I want to be corrected.
Mostly correct. Mostly correct.
Okay.
So Steven Crowder is against police militarization, but never mind. Never mind. I've already touched upon this point.
It's just Hank Newsom. He's a Black Lives Matter leader, I think based out of New York, who said, we need to arm ourselves and be responsible for our communities, and that solves the problem. I think it's an interesting argument.
Yeah.
Minneapolis isn't saying that. They're saying we're discussing disbanding the police because it's irredeemably broken, and they don't know what the alternative is.
Right.
So maybe start with a transition or an alternative before you talk about just getting rid of the police. Because
right.
This is what I'm talking about pandering. Like, he wants vigilante justice. When defund the police, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about, instead of police taking the role of social work, you actually give that role to social workers. Like, police are now responsible for child abuse, domestic violence, drug abuse, sex work. When in reality, if you decriminalize sex work, you decriminalize drugs, you're taking already a huge burden off the police force. And if you have social workers more involved in child abuse and spousal abuse, you're alleviating more. I mean, that's what they're talking about in defunding the police.
Ultimately, what we talked about is maybe city living has become untenable. It's just, you've got too many problems. Right. You can't afford it. It smells like sour milk. Maybe it's time to move out of these cities.
That's being very generous.
This is a whimsical fucking notion because urbanization is the reality that we live in. People are moving to the cities, not because, I mean, I won't deny that some people would enjoy the cosmopolitan life, but the vast majority of people moving to the cities because that's where the jobs are at. Tim Pool wants people to move out of the cities. There's no jobs outside the cities. That's why people are in the cities, because that's where the majority of the jobs are located. America is a primarily service industry.
When I walk through New York City, I smell human shit.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, you don't just see human shit.
You don't
That's
just
not
smell,
dog.
you see.
It
Yeah.
is human,
Well,
and you see.
yeah.
I once saw a man taking a
Oh,
human
yeah.
shit.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't shitting a human.
That's not even
He was
surprising.
shitting-
I've seen plenty of country people just shit in the woods too, so that's really not an urbanization problem.
And then he
surprised at
also,
all.
this was in Tompkins Square Park, not a joke. Took a shit, and then he reached into his pocket. I swear to you, this is true.
No.
He reached into his pocket, took out, there was a syringe in his finger, and rather than using his other hand to pull it out, he just went like this. Like, it was so casual.
yeah.
He reaches into
So
his pocket
practiced.
and dirty syringes. So he took
That's
a shit,
disgusting.
pulled up his pants, reached into his pocket, and there's a syringe like, nah. Like, it was
Not
fly.
the story, but the fact that Steven Crowder is
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
describing
They were
it.
just-
Pure San Francisco.
Wait, is Tompkins Square Park San Francisco? No, I'm thinking of it was in Manhattan.
I'm a fool, excuse me.
What was that, Tim Pool?
That's New York, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then Audio Wade stepped on me. Jeez.
I wasn't listening.
He makes a horrible fat lady singing. Something else, too, I want to know for people who don't, if you're very confused. Cultural Appropriation Month.
Yes.
We're doing Norway today. Tim Pool, we talked about this earlier today, you and I off air. So you obviously are more of a moderate, and you've never owned a firearm before, correct?
Nope, never.
Now, it seems like your opinion has changed in that you wouldn't
yes.
like it.
Yeah.
Okay, first off,
Yes, it has.
explain to me, and welcome Tim Pool's audience, explain to me when your flash of genius was, when that moment was that you wanted to get a firearm.
it wasn't a flash of genius. It was a couple of years ago. I was still very much like I respect people's right to own firearms, but I think there's some reasonable arguments.
This is all grifting shit. Like, okay, we get it. It's just like I can't wait till fucking Tim Pool no longer just describes himself as a liberal, just like fucking just goes to the right. I'm tired of hearing this grifting shit from him.
The things I've been seeing in the news and on social media are getting freaky. If you think it was bad last year, like you would have with the New York Times, they're having an internal revolt. Their staff want an opinion piece from Tom Cotton removed because he was supporting Trump's call for military action.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because did you see his fucking tweet? He wants protesters to be shot.
New York Times is bending over backwards for these people.
Right. Now, to be clear, to people just calling it the New York Times are bending over for people who are not Don Lemon.
Not
well.
They wouldn't be bending
on the ground reporters
at the moment.
But yeah, so you weren't aware that it was taken down. And let me ask this: do you think, as someone who specializes in this, you know, you look at that sort of trail? I think I told you someone attempted to dox us, posted the wrong address. So but I don't want anyone to be
nobody.
On.
Yeah.
6 times it took over 30 hours for Twitter to get to it. But right away when I tweeted out today, if you kneel before a mob, you're a pussy. That was reviewed, and to Twitter's credit, wasn't removed, but that was reviewed within minutes. Wow. Doxing isn't quite on their priority. They let me know. Twitter sent a message because of COVID, we're backlogged.
So Steven Crowder is complaining again that his obscene language is getting him challenged on Twitter and censors on Twitter. This is not profound. Maybe if you didn't say such bullshit and such ridiculous language, you wouldn't be called out like this.
So let me ask this: do you think that there is like triangulation, almost like picture, Velociraptors in Jurassic Park 2 in the cornfield scene? Do you think there's a concerted effort where they go, okay, we're not going to fact check this verifiably false information on the NYPD. We're going to remove Donald Trump's video on a copyright bogus claim, even though other videos that have way more egregious copyright violations.
Because the way they perceive me, I don't get if Republicans take all, the House and the Senate. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
For real.
Or revolver with more extensive for Obama, correct?
Okay, so 3/4 of the way in. 3/4. We can do this. And with Tim Pool's entry, it has been harder for me. I have been fast forwarding a bit because again, they're reiterating points, they're talking nonsense. I want to get through this. It's my day off. This is like, fuck. All right, so yeah, here we go.
The first time.
And the second time, did you not vote, or did you vote?
Did not vote.
Okay, I was going to say, Romney's pretty tough if you're a moderate. The Mormon who puts his dog on his roof is a tough sell.
It's for air.
I think he's a decent man. I think he's wrong politically. It's a tough sell. But let me ask you this. You've said before, like, obviously, you're not necessarily a big fan of Donald Trump, but do you now take into account after these riots that a vote for anyone other than Donald Trump is a vote for someone who wants you to have only a double-barreled shotgun or revolver with more extensive paperwork than you're talking about now? There's no two ways about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I do this show, the Timcast IRL show, with my buddy Adam and Lydia. Adam is a skateboarding hippie liberal guy from Chicago, lives in New York, and he just.
I've seen his stream, by the way, and these two other people that he's talking about are pretty ridiculous too. So I recommend anybody who's watching this to go watch Surf Time, where Lance and what's his face from Thought Slime react to some Tim Pool live streams, and they are fucking hilarious because they just show the ridiculousness of this fucking stream. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I would tolerate more, Tim Pool stream or Steven Crowder's. It's a tough fucking pick for me.
He just comes out and he's like, after seeing all this, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, cool. Your friend's a grifter just as much as you are. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
I was talking to someone recently, someone I've known for a really, really long time, diehard Democrat, as long as I've known them, messaging me saying the only way this ends is if Trump wins re-election and the Republicans take all, the House and the Senate. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
For real.
Oh my God. Okay. No more grifting from Mr. Tim Pool.
I felt about all this.
I just want to clarify that this is supposed to be them watching CNN. They've hardly been watching CNN at all. This has been like they cut into snippets, but like this is just them just spouting their bullshit, and like I'm mad because this is false advertising. They promised me that they were going to react to CNN, but they're not, and I'm angry. I'm also kind of drunk too, so there's that.
If you believe
said that,
if you believe you live in a system that is against you, fight the system by doing better than that system.
Yeah.
Succeed
Like protesting
inside that system, so you can say, I won despite all these things.
And
don't just give up.
like people like Rashida Tlaib, the people that you fucking hate that are now in government. God damn it! These people are fucking stupid.
I thought you were going to say they were hammered and Asian.
Yeah.
But
Well, all
it doesn't
Asians
hold
are
it very well. But,
hammered, yeah.
right, but you know what they told their kids? Go out and work hard. Right. It's just a different mentality.
That's
I
how
don't
you
think all
beat
Asians
that
are like that. I'm
system.
saying mostly. Well,
They said, go and work hard, motherfucker!
oh, yeah,
If you believe,
said that. Yeah.
if you believe you live in a system that is against you, fight the system by doing better than that system.
Yeah.
Succeed inside the
Right.
system so you can say,
Right.
I won despite all these things.
And I
don't
don't
just give
people
up.
away. Be a forerunner, a
And I
trendsetter,
get this
whatever you want to be.
because if the system was actually against somebody, that would be a problem. And yes, it would be incumbent upon white people
To change
the
it,
system.
which we've done
Name
before,
me
by the
one
way.
example right now of systemic discrimination, systemic racism in this country. One, police.
I can give you multiple: education, hiring, advancement practices in business, access to sports recreation. No, the criminal justice system is an example of systemic racism. You look at how much police monitor and conduct police operations in minority communities as opposed to white communities. That is also another example. Racial profiling of that police justice system is another example of of systemic racism. I gotta calm down for a minute, because he's stupid enough to even postulate that question. I'm just serenity now. We're about we got about an hour left to the stream. We could do this.
Oh, not one.
One bit of on the ground reporting that we can actually come to you and say, hey, CNN's doing their job. You got the long shot going on?
I think I've been proven wrong. I might kneel here.
No. God is not right here.
You hold it
He
in.
is everywhere.
Don't you do it.
Stephen is telling me at the break he is feeling compelled to kneel, but you shouldn't.
Oh God, the martyr of Stephen.
Just Twitter?
Well, I feel as old as Don Lemon looks.
That's freaking old.
Which I know. I look older than my age. The irony's not lost on me. But you shouldn't hate me as much. What are my papers?
I don't hate you for your age. I hate you for your lack of intelligence, Stephen.
Your papers are way far away.
I really shouldn't say hey. Hate's a strong word. I just think you're stupid. I just think you're a prophetically stupid person, Stephen. I really do. I may just like the fact that your message spreads. You have a platform that just spreads this just stupidity. I guess that's just the world we live in, apparently.
Last little segment.
They're not really reporting on a whole
Yeah.
lot.
No.
Not at
You know,
all.
they probably
As soon as the
watched
sun
us do the
went
last
down,
one. Yeah, they're like, you know what? We got to look like a fool, so we might not to do
Is it just me or is this a really tone-deaf commercial?
Really?
Simply
Safe?
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, not a great
Not the
idea.
best time.
Oh,
Well,
white
it's a
guy in a
coronavirus
ski
mask.
mask.
It's a coronavirus mask. It's totally okay.
Coronavirus.
Ooh, my word. They didn't quite update it for the new coronavirus. Let's watch Don Lemon for a little bit, see if there's anything of value. And then, Red, give us something on the ground or something that we're missing in the news here so that we can leave on a semi-high note.
Please.
And celebrities as well. The family saying that they are moved by the showing of support.
It's crazy, man. All these people came to see my brother, and that's
Thelonious.
amazing to me that he touched so many people's hearts. You know, because he's been touching our hearts.
Feel a need.
Hang on a second. Oh wait, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought this was something else. Sorry.
Yeah, been touching our hearts with guns, you know.
He's going to get it.
With what I've got.
He's going to get
What's
it.
with all the signers lately?
Yeah.
Have you noticed the
They've really
pandemic
up-
of signers? What happened to closed
Signers,
captions?
Apparently, they don't exist anymore.
I am joined now by George Floyd's friend, his former NBA player as well, former NBA player Stephen Jackson. Stephen, thank you. I appreciate you joining.
George Floyd had connections.
And co-star in Big Wet
It
Booties
pays to
5.
rob pregnant women.
You know what? Speaking of connections, the guy that fucking killed George Floyd bumped into him at nightclubs. So, fuck you.
He could have had a good life without, being a robbing.
You could have had a good life without being fucking killed by a cop, too. You fucking asshole.
You called George Floyd your twin. You were at that memorial service today. His brother said he was just he couldn't believe so many people came out, for his brother. What was it like to see such beautiful tributes to your friend?
It's a testimony to who he was. He was somebody who always spread love. He was a protector and a provider for everybody. Really? And
Okay, listen. If people get mad at me, do you not think it's important when everyone goes, he was nothing but love, man? He was protector and provider. He robbed a pregnant woman and did 5 years and had multiple offenses. This was a...
I'm not listening to this fucking character assassination. I'm not listening to the smear shit. As if this justifies him being killed. I can't. Every time this shit happens, when a black person is shown on video being killed by the cops, I hear this. I see this. I can't do it anymore. It's distracting from the point of excessive police brutality. I cannot do it. At the time when he was killed, George Floyd was doing nothing.
It is amazing. And I wish that it hadn't happened, but this is my question. You guys can tweet me. What do you do if you are a police officer? You are in a city that has been turned into a war zone. We have over a dozen deaths. We have over 370 officers, probably 400 now, who've been violently attacked or seriously injured. You have $25 million in property damage in Minneapolis alone. My guess is it's probably going to be in the billions as far as property damage. Businesses that'll never open back up.
Economic damage we couldn't afford to
what do you do?
right
This
now
is a real
anyway.
question. What do you do? We talk about de-escalation. Well, as far as I'm concerned, de-escalation is governor sends out curfew. Officer says, please, you can stay there, but this is the
That's not de-escalation, though. That is an escalation.
curfew. This is the police line. And then when officers are marching, and there are several instances there where the officers are not being violent with them, as they continue to move, they keep, and by the way, they're not walking up to him and shove him. It's basically a stiff arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's not. It's not. Because I've seen multiple videos of people. Again, I don't know when this stream happened. I don't know when, was this before or after the 75-year-old man was just pushed down to the ground and he hit his head so hard he started bleeding through his ear. But regardless.
No. We're walking forward. Are they supposed to let that man mingle in through the police line at that point?
Not at all.
No. Is it terrible that a man...
No, again, curfews are not a de-escalation. So I'm gonna preempt Steven Crowder's question here. What do you do if you're a police officer? You hold your shitty comrades accountable for their shitty actions for once. You don't just stand there like that one cop in the picture of in the video of George Floyd, just standing there looking as your partner is kneeling on his neck, cutting off the circulation. You hold them to account. You stopped shielding your shitty fucking comrades. That's what you can do as a cop. Don't do this kneeling in solidarity to the protest. Don't ignore that it doesn't happen. Fucking do something about it. Okay, so I don't know. We've reached the point. I've skipped through a lot because they keep reiterating points, but like, I'm at my wit's end with Steven Crowder right now. I really am. Him and his entire crew. I just like the fact that people watch this fucking show is astonishing to me. Is absolutely astonishing to me. It explains why there's so many fucking stupid people in this country. But we're at the end. I don't know how much is left to be said, but let's just,
do other than shove you back and then, oh my gosh, he hit his head and get medics to you right away.
Well, yeah, and the only reason that Don Lemon here, his reaction would be justified is if the cops walked away and went ha 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 ha.
Right.
But they
Got me an
called
old
for
man.
help.
Right. No.
Right. And the only reason we're talking about this is because they're like, see, this is just further evidence of a brutal.
Hold on a
police
second. I bet
force.
you're going to say.
wait, hang on. I'm sorry. I fast forwarded a little bit. I talked about this, me and Kevin talked about this, the 75-year-old being pushed over. I want to see Steven Crowder's reaction to this.
I'm just putting him like, hey, you're getting too close.
Yeah, and the
like,
dude's going
stop.
like this.
He's swinging at him.
Yeah, he's doing that. He's doing that several times. And maybe he's saying, hey, your shoelace is untied. And the cop's like, I'm not falling for that old trick again, buddy.
Are you serious? Is this your excuse?
Up after curfew, police have already asked him to leave. You can clearly see they're saying, hey, move. They don't shove him even right away.
Yeah.
They're in that. He's doing that several times. This to the cops, it's the ideal situation.
Wait,
Nobody's happy.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying
this to the cops' utility belt. Maybe he was reaching for a shark repellent spray. Look, reaching. Hey.
No, he was not. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. That guy had no threat whatsoever. He was actually giving something back to the police, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, this excuse that he was a threat is ridiculous.
Cops are trained for that. Cops are trained if someone reaches toward your belt, zero tolerance. Not saying that it's the ideal situation.
Yeah, nobody's happy this happened.
No one's happy that this happened. But I don't know what a police officer can do other than shove you back and then, oh my gosh, he hit his head and get medics to you right away.
Well, yeah, and the only reason that Don Lemon here, his reaction would be justified.
Well, here's the thing. The initial police officer that wanted to help was restrained by his comrade. This is what I'm talking about, holding your comrades accountable earlier. That was wrong. This was all wrong. This is why 57 police officers from that Buffalo unit asked to be transferred or resigned. Either or. Because they knew it was fucking wrong. The fact that they're defending this is ridiculous.
Is if the cops walked away and went ha 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 ha.
Right.
But they called for help.
Right. No.
Right. And the only reason we're talking about this is because they're like, see, this is just further evidence of a brutal.
Hold on a
police
second. I
force.
bet you're going to say Donald Trump's tweeting about this rather than talking about the riots.
Oh, of course
Lisa
they are.
Murkowski's re-election prospects in 2022 look somewhat better at this moment than President Trump's do.
That guy on the right looks like an older James O'Keefe if he were a hockey fighter.
Yeah.
Been
through
in
some rough
reality,
days.
These isolated criticisms from Republican senators don't mean all that much unless a few of them get together and decide to do something about it. Republicans have 53 seats in the Senate. If 4 Republican senators got together and said they were
Is it just me or did they?
To stop things the president.
This is going to upset a lot of people. Did they darken Don Lemon with more makeup?
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. I think I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with Steven Crowder. I listen. It was a 3-hour and 45-minute stream. I got to 3 hours and 41 minutes. We're good here. We're gonna end it on that note. I have to make a call. I have to call somebody. I gotta call. I'm gonna put her on. Wait, can I put her on speakerphone? Okay, guys. So I wanted to end this video with sort of a post-edit commentary because at the end of the video, I called my friend and we were going on back and forth about, disagreeing over this live stream. And she kept bringing up George Floyd's past, his criminal past, and arguing on why not more emphasis is placed on the killing of Breonna Taylor. What I have to say about that is, first of all, yes, Breonna Taylor her death came first. She was sleeping in her apartment when the police were doing a search and seizure. They were in the wrong apartment and they ended up shooting her while she was sleeping. Now, that happened back in March. George Floyd's death happened in May. The reason why I want to bring this up is because there is another divisive tactic being used right now, particularly people on the right, arguing on why George Floyd is the face of this protest against police brutality and not Breonna Taylor. I just want to say that with the death of Breonna Taylor, there was no video involved. The only reason why George Floyd is exemplified in the manner that he is because his entire death was caught on tape. Someone filmed it. Someone filmed a man being suffocated to death by a Minneapolis police officer for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It was all captured on film. Now, video media is a powerful tool that, when used in situations like that, does have a more convening effect in displaying a message that is much more intelligible for everyone to read. I mean, you can look at how film was used in the South by the civil rights movement against white segregationalists, and you saw the violence being brought on by the civil rights protesters. You can see the attacks on Pearl Harbor and the attacks on 9/11, all of which were captured on film. Video media is a powerful medium that displays an image that all of us can understand and comprehend. Like, this man was killed brutally by the police, and it's not the first time. Again, there was no video of Breonna Taylor, and I'm not trying to say that Breonna Taylor's death is any less than George Floyd's. I'm just explaining why, after George Floyd's death, we have this huge uprising happening. We have these huge mass protests against police brutality because George Floyd was the last straw, because he's not the first African American being caught on film dying in police custody. I want to end this by sharing Dave Chappelle's recent stand-up titled 8:46, 8 minutes 46 seconds. And he highlights the issue revolving around this much better than I have. So I just want to leave it there. And I hope that you guys have gotten a different perspective from all this. And if you're a Steven Crowder fan, I really hope that you guys are able to move on from this nonsensical rhetoric that him and his crew bring up on situations like this, because quite honestly, it's really pathetic. So I'll catch you guys next time.